The sky was black. Smoke still rose from the broken buildings of the alien city. Fire flickered in the distance. The war had ended weeks ago, but the ruins still whispered stories of pain and death. Rhett, a human scavenger, walked carefully through the rubble. He wore a torn jacket, dust-covered boots, and carried a small bag for anything he could find. He wasn't a soldier, just a man looking for leftover tech or food to sell. But today, he would find something else. He moved a burnt wall panel and paused. His flashlight caught something strange, a metal cage, hidden under broken beams. At first he thought it was empty. Then he saw a hand. Thin, pale, not human. Rhett stepped closer. His heart beat faster. Inside the cage was a woman, an alien woman. Her skin was a soft silver blue, covered in bruises. Her long white hair was tangled and dirty. Her clothes were ripped. Chains held her arms and legs. She wasn't dead, but she wasn't awake either. Rhett stared at her. Why would anyone lock up a woman like this in a war zone? He looked around. No one was nearby. Just silence and ash. He knelt beside the cage. Hey, are you alive? No answer. He pulled a bottle of water from his bag and opened the cage door, carefully. The metal creaked. She didn't move. Gently, he poured a few drops of water onto her dry lips. Suddenly, her eyes opened, bright violet eyes. She gasped and tried to pull back, but the chains rattled and held her down. She looked at Rhett, breathing fast, eyes wide with fear. No, please, she cried, her voice weak but shaking with panic. Don't hurt me, I'll give you anything, please just let me live. Rhett held up his hands. Wait, I'm not gonna hurt you. Her chest rose and fell quickly. She didn't believe him. Her lips trembled. Then she whispered something that stopped him cold. Have mercy, please, I'll bear you strong children, just don't kill me. Rhett froze. What did she just say? He looked at her closely. She wasn't faking. She looked broken, like someone who had been treated like less than a person, trained to beg, trained to offer herself. Anger filled his chest, not at her, but at whoever did this to her. He spoke softly. I'm not like them. I'm not here to hurt you. I found you by accident. I just want to help. She didn't answer. Rhett took out a small tool from his bag and began unlocking her chains. Her hands were cold. Her skin had bruises, some fresh, some old. She didn't stop him. When the last chain fell, her body slumped forward. He caught her. You're safe now, he said, almost whispering. She looked up at him again. Why? Are you helping me? He didn't know how to answer that, because no one else did. He lifted her out of the cage. She was light. Too light. She hadn't eaten in days. Rhett carried her into a small, half-collapsed shelter nearby. He wrapped her in his old coat and gave her the rest of his water. She drank slowly, watching him with careful eyes. What's your name? He asked. There was silence. Then, very quietly, she said, Sala. Rhett nodded. I'm Rhett. For a moment, they just looked at each other. Two people from different worlds, caught in the middle of a war neither of them had started. Then she spoke again. They said I was useless, that I was a breeder with a damaged body. So they threw me away. Rhett clenched his fists. You're not useless. Sala blinked. No one had said that to her before. Outside, the wind blew softly through the ruins. But inside that little shelter, something had changed. For the first time in a long time, Sala was not just a prisoner, she was a person again. And Rhett. He didn't know it yet, but saving her would change everything, not just for her, but for himself, and maybe for the future of two species. Night had fallen over the ruins. The firelight inside the small shelter flickered across broken walls and twisted metal. Sala lay curled in a corner, wrapped in Rhett's coat. Her silver blue skin was covered in bruises and healing cuts. She stared at the flames, unmoving, as if any wrong move would bring chains back to her wrists. Rhett sat, a few steps away, trying to heat up a ration pack. He kept glancing at her, unsure what to say. He had seen many broken things in war, but none like her. "I found some food," he said gently. She didn't respond. "I don't know if your kind can eat human stuff, but..." Suddenly she spoke. "You shouldn't help me." Rhett looked up. "Why?" She still didn't face him. "You'll get hunted too. I carry a shame mark. A failed breeder is cursed in my people's eyes." Rhett raised an eyebrow. "That sounds like nonsense. Sala." "Turn to him then." "Not to them. When my body didn't respond during the trial, they said I was broken, that I couldn't carry strong children. So they caged me, to die quietly." Rhett clenched his jaw. "Then your people are fools." Sala blinked. His voice didn't have anger toward her, just frustration. For her, with her people. He walked over and placed the food packet beside her. "Eat. You need strength." She hesitated. "Are you going to keep me?" Rhett paused. "What?" She looked down. "Is that why you saved me?" "I was trained to obey. If you want a companion, I can be that." Rhett stepped back, shocked. "No, I'm not like that." Sala studied him, her eyes confused. "Then, what do you want?" He sat beside her, not too close. "Nothing. I just saw someone in pain." That was enough. She stared at him for a long moment. Her kind never helped without a reason. Every action was tied to gain or power. This man, this human, was acting differently. "Where are we going?" she asked. "Nowhere far," Rhett answered. "Too dangerous to travel tonight. But once you're strong enough, we'll find a safe zone." She tilted her head. "You talk like I'm coming with you. You think I'd leave you here again?" Sala said nothing, but something flickered in her eyes. Something faint. Not trust. Not yet. But curiosity. Later, as the wind howled outside, the shelter. Sala woke up suddenly. Her body was burning. Her chest rose and fell fast. A strange heat moved through her veins. No, this couldn't be happening. Her people's biology responded only to strong, compatible mates. That response had never awakened in her before, not during the tests, not during the forced trials. But now she looked toward the sleeping human across the room. "No," she whispered. This was not right. She struggled to her feet, breathing hard. Every part of her ached. But it wasn't pain this time. It was something older, something primal. "Calm yourself," she muttered, clutching her chest. She was reacting to him. But why? She crawled outside into the cold air, trying to clear her mind. Rhett woke to silence. The fire had burned low, and she was gone. He stood up fast and grabbed his coat. "Sala?" No answer. He stepped outside and found her curled up near a broken statue, shivering. "Sala, what are you doing out here?" She didn't move. He knelt and wrapped the coat around her again. "You'll freeze." Her voice was small. "Something is happening to me." Rhett paused. "What do you mean?" "I don't know," she said, shaking. "I was always told I was empty, that I'd never feel the bond. But now, near you, my blood is warm." Rhett helped her up, gently. "Come back inside. We'll figure it out together." As they sat near the fire again, Sala's eyes never left him. She had expected fear, hunger, and cruelty from humans. But this one gave her warmth. And without realizing it, a bond had already started to grow. A bond that her people said was impossible. But tonight, her body and heart both whispered the same word. Possible. The night was colder than before. The sky above the war ruins had no stars, just clouds of smoke and ash. But inside the broken shelter, there was a small fire, a little warmth, and the sound of steady breathing. Sala sat awake beside the fire, knees pulled to her chest. Her silver-blue skin glowed faintly in the light. She was calmer now, but her heart still beat fast. Not from fear, but confusion. Why did her body respond to him? Why to him, a human, a species her people called wild apes? She looked at Rhett sleeping across the room. His face was rough with scars, but he had kind eyes, strong hands, and unlike anyone else, he had not asked anything from her. She lowered her head. Her people said her bloodline had failed, that she was cold inside. Then why? Did she feel warmth now? Suddenly, crack, the sound of footsteps, fast, heavy. Sala's ears perked up. That sound was not from Rhett. She jumped to her feet and crawled to the edge of the ruined shelter, peeking through the shattered wall. 3 figures were moving through the darkness, tall, armed, and worse. She recognized the armor, slavers, her former captors. They were tracking, looking for something, looking for her. Sala's body turned cold again, her breath caught in her throat. These men had branded her as useless, then locked her in that cage to rot. Now they were back, to clean up the mess. To make sure no one found her alive, she crawled to Rhett and shook him. "Wake up, they're here." He opened his eyes fast, alert like a soldier. "Who?" "3 of them, slavers. They were the ones who left me to die." Rhett stood quickly and peeked out the same wall. "They've got plasma rifles," he muttered. "We don't stand a chance in open fight." Sala looked at him, her eyes wide. "They will kill you too. You should run." Rhett turned to her. Firm. "Not without you." She blinked. "But why?" "Because I don't leave people behind." The footsteps were getting closer. Rhett grabbed a metal bar from the ground. It wasn't much, but it was all he had. He whispered, "Get to the back. Crawl through the crack behind the pipe." "Quiet." Sala hesitated, then obeyed. Her instincts told her to run, to survive, but her heart burned at the thought of him staying behind. One of the slavers stepped into the shelter. He laughed. "Found you, little traitor." Rhett stood between the man and the hiding space. The alien slaver sneered, "Move, human, that's our property." Rhett's grip on the metal bar tightened. "She's not property." The slaver raised his rifle. "Fine. You can both die." Rhett swung first. The bar hit the rifle hard, throwing it off aim. The 2 struggled. The other slavers rushed in. Sala heard the sounds, shouts, metal hitting bone, the blast of energy, and then a cry. "Rhett!" she screamed. She burst from hiding and tackled the nearest slaver. Her strength wasn't much, but it surprised him. She bit, scratched, fought with rage. They grabbed her hair and threw her down. "You don't even have your mark anymore," the slaver spat. "You're nothing." But suddenly, bang! The roof above them cracked. Rhett had pulled loose a rusted beam. It crashed down, slamming 2 of the slavers into the floor. Only one remained, wounded, backing away. "Stay down," Rhett growled. The last slaver ran. When it was over, the shelter was quiet again, except for Rhett's heavy breathing and Sala's soft sobs. She crawled to him. "You're bleeding." He sat down hard, holding his side. "I'll live." "You could have died." "Yeah," he said with a weak smile. "But you're alive." She reached out and touched his hand, this time, not as a servant or a captive, but as someone who chose. "I don't understand humans," she whispered. "You don't need to," Rhett said softly. "Just trust me." Sala looked at him, and for the first time since her cage, she did. In the middle of death, broken ruins and ash, she felt it. Not safety, but a bond. And that was more dangerous and more beautiful than anything she had ever known. The fire was low again. Sala sat near Rhett, watching the orange glow dance across his injured side. He had wrapped the wound himself, but his movements were slower now. His eyes were heavy with pain, but he still smiled at her. "You should rest," she whispered. "I'm fine," he replied. "You're the one who needs to rest." She looked away. Something inside her chest was changing. Something she had never felt before. It wasn't just relief that he had protected her. It was more. Her fingers tingled. Her skin warmed. A strange fire had started inside her. Not from fear or injury, but from something she didn't understand. Her kind had trained her to obey commands, to submit without emotion. Mating was not about feelings, only duty, only bloodlines. She had failed all the tests back then. Her body never responded. That was why they called her broken, but now, her heart beat faster when Rhett touched her hand, even by accident. When he looked at her, her breathing changed. Her thoughts became strange. Her alien blood, once cold and silent, now burned in her veins. Rhett didn't notice at first. He was focused on staying alive, on staying alert. He was always watching the doors, listening to the wind outside. But tonight, he noticed something different in Sala. She had curled up against the wall, arms around her knees. But her eyes kept returning to him. Not scared, not unsure. Just watching. He caught her gaze. "What is it?" She blinked and looked away. "Nothing." He tilted his head. "You've been quiet since the fight." She hesitated, then said, "My body is different now." Rhett frowned. "What do you mean?" Sala looked down. Her voice dropped to a whisper. "My people said I was defective. I never passed the trials. I was never chosen. But now, near you, my body is reacting." Rhett froze. "Reacting? How?" She looked at him again, this time with fear and shame in her eyes. "Like I was made for you." The room fell silent. He didn't know what to say. Sala stood up slowly. Her hands shook. "I don't want to be a tool again. I don't want to be used, but this feeling, I can't control it. I feel like I need to be near you." Rhett stood up too, holding his side. "Sala, I'm not like the ones who hurt you." "I know," she said quickly. "That's what makes it worse. I feel things I was told I'd never feel. Not fear, not duty, just this burning warmth." Her voice cracked. "What is this?" Rhett didn't answer with science. He didn't try to explain biology. Instead, he walked closer, slowly, until he stood before her. And then he said softly, "Maybe it's not your body that changed. Maybe it's just you finally found someone who sees you." Sala stared at him. No one had ever said that before. Not even once. Not when she was young. Not when she begged for acceptance. Not when she was thrown away. She stepped closer. The firelight caught her face, showing tears in the corners of her glowing, violet eyes. "I don't know what love is," she whispered. Rhett smiled gently. "That's okay. We'll figure it out together." That night they sat beside the fire, closer than before. No chains, no walls between them, no lies. Sala's head rested on his shoulder. Rhett didn't move or pull away. He let her rest. There, her body trembling not from fear but from emotions too new to name. For the first time in her life, Sala didn't feel broken. She felt alive. Morning came with a gray sky and silent wind. The ruins felt still, but Rhett knew stillness didn't mean safety. He sat sharpening a scrap metal blade. His side still ached, but he didn't complain. Across the broken shelter, Sahla stood alone, staring at her reflection in a piece of shattered glass. Her fingers touched the old scars on her neck, faint but still there. The shame mark her people gave her. It was burned into her skin when they rejected her as useless. Now, even though Rhett treated her like a person, the brand still made her feel like property. "Do you want me to cover that for you?" Rhett asked gently. Sala turned. "You're not the one who should cover it, they should." Rhett nodded once. "Then let's find a way to erase it, permanently." They moved before midday. The nearby zone was dangerous, rumors of raiders and scouts moving in from the east. Rhett kept his head low. Sala wore his jacket, the hood up. They passed burnt towers, crashed ships, and melted metal. But just as they neared the edge of a fallen hangar, a voice echoed. "You didn't die after all, little failure." Rhett grabbed Sala's hand and turned, but it was too late. 3 alien warriors stepped out of the shadows. Their armor was sleek, black, marked with silver claws. Enforcers, elite executioners, sent to erase dishonor. Sala's face went pale. "They're not slavers, they're worse." The lead alien stepped forward, his voice sharp. "You were meant to die in that cage, but you ran, and worse. You bonded with a human. You've brought shame to your bloodline." Rhett stepped in front of her, blade raised. "Back off." The enforcer laughed. "A human with a scrap knife? Brave. Stupid." Before Rhett could react, 2 more stepped behind him. He fought back, but they were trained too fast. One slammed a weapon into his shoulder, throwing him against the wall. Sala screamed, rushing to his side. But she was grabbed, arms pinned. Behind her. "No," she cried, struggling. "You don't get to choose who you bond with." The lead sneered. "You're a failed creation. We'll brand you again. This time, it will never fade." He held up a glowing rod, a rebranding device. It buzzed with energy, hot and ready. "No," she cried again. "Please, don't." But the rod touched her skin. "Burn!" Sala screamed as the mark sizzled into her shoulder. The scent of scorched flesh filled the air. She collapsed, shaking. Rhett, blood running from his forehead, forced himself up. "Let her go." With all his strength, he charged one of the enforcers and drove the metal blade into the weak spot at the neck joint. Sparks flew. The alien gurgled and fell. The other 2 turned in shock. But Rhett was already moving, grabbing Sala and dragging her behind a broken cargo pod. One of the enforcers shouted, "They won't escape." A blast flew past them, barely missing Rhett's back, but he kept moving, one arm around Sala, the other gripping the blade like a lifeline. They hid deep, in the wreckage. Rhett's breath was heavy. Sala lay against him, her body trembling from the burn. He looked down at her, eyes full of pain. "Sala, I'm sorry." She didn't speak. Her body still shook. Then she whispered, "They didn't mark me to punish me. They marked me to erase me. That burn, it blocks the bond response. It makes my body feel nothing." Rhett's jaw tightened. "But I still see you. I still feel you." Tears slipped from her eyes. "Do you still want me now? Even like this?" He didn't answer with words. Instead, he took her hand and placed it over his heart. "You're already here," he said quietly. Sala stared at him. Her body was burned. Her blood felt weak, but his heartbeat, strong and steady, beat under her fingers. That rhythm pulled something from deep inside her. Not mating instinct. Not duty. Just belonging. She closed her eyes. Even with the mark, she still felt warm. She still felt his. The shelter they found was deep inside a wrecked shuttle, half buried in the dust. The door barely closed behind them. Rhett used what little power he had left to stack crates and broken panels in front, just in case the enforcers returned. Inside, it was dark and quiet. He slumped down beside a wall, breathing hard. His shoulder throbbed from the blow, and blood had dried on his brow. But his eyes never left Sala. She sat across from him, wrapped in an old thermal blanket. Her face was pale. The fresh burn on her shoulder still glowed faintly under the skin, but she didn't cry. Not anymore. She just stared down at her hands, as if waiting to feel something. But nothing came. No fire, no reaction, no bond. That brand had silenced everything inside her. She looked up slowly. "It's gone now." Rhett blinked. "What is?" My response. "The heat. The fire I felt when I was close to you. It's all gone. The mark took it." Rhett sat still for a moment, then nodded slowly. "I know. She lowered her head. So I'm no use to you anymore. Rhett frowned. Stop saying that. It's true, she whispered. Your kind wants love. Mine values breeding. I have neither now. Rhett crawled closer, wincing from the pain. That's not why I stayed, Sala. She looked at him, unsure. I didn't protect you for a bond. I didn't fight for you because of some instinct, he said softly. I stayed because I saw someone who deserved better. Her voice cracked. But now, I'm broken again. No, Rhett said, his voice firm. Now, for the first time, you're free. Sala's breath caught. Free from the lies they told you, free from their control. They trained you to obey. They told you your value was in your body. But I see you, Sala. Not for what they made you, but for who you really are. Her eyes filled with tears. Who am I? Rhett gave a gentle smile. That's not my choice to make, it's yours. The words struck deep. She had lived her whole life being told what to be, what to feel, when to kneel, when to give. Now, someone was finally telling her she could choose. She looked at Rhett again. Really looked. He was wounded, tired, and still watching her like she mattered. Slowly, shakily, she crawled across the floor and sat beside him. I may not feel the bond anymore, she whispered, but I still feel something. What do you feel? He asked quietly. She placed her hand on his slowly. Not from fear, not from training, but because she wanted to. I feel safe, she said. And I want to stay. Rhett leaned his head back against the wall, smiling softly. Then that's enough. Hours passed. They shared a ration pack in silence. The stars outside began to appear through the cracked ceiling of the shuttle. Sala leaned against Rhett, her head resting near his heart again. This time, not because she needed protection, not because she was commanded, but because she chose it. And for a woman who had only known chains, that choice was everything. Seasons passed. The war ended, but its scars remained across the galaxy. Cities had crumbled. Empires had fallen. And in the forgotten corners of a shattered world, a quiet story grew in the shadows, one the galaxy never expected. Deep in the green hills of a once barren colony planet, a home had been built from wreckage and love. Sala stood outside that small home watching the sun rise with soft eyes. Her silver blue skin now held a golden warmth and her white hair danced in the wind like threads of starlight. She was no longer thin or shaking. She was strong, not because of her bloodline, but because she had chosen to live. Behind her, Rhett stepped out of the house carrying a small bundle wrapped in soft cloth. The baby in his arms was sleeping peacefully, tiny fingers, soft violet eyes, and a heartbeat strong as thunder. Sala turned and smiled. You walked through fire for me, she said. Now look, we've made something even fire couldn't burn. Rhett looked down at the child. He's a miracle. No, Sala whispered. He's a beginning. News of the child spread like sparks in dry grass. A half-human, half-alien child with power in his blood that neither side understood. Sala's people had said she was useless, her body broken, her genes worthless. But this child? He survived poison air. He healed twice as fast. He learned before he could walk. The elders called it unnatural. The scientists called it impossible. But Rhett just called it his son. One day, a delegation from Sala's homeworld came. Not slavers, not enforcers, but elders in robes, speaking, words heavy with regret. We came to see the one who was thrown away, and survived. Sala didn't hide in the house. She met them face to face. I'm not yours anymore, she said calmly. I'm no one's tool. I made my own future. The elders bowed their heads. One of them stepped forward. Your child is the strongest bloodline we have seen in generations. We were wrong. About you. About everything. Sala didn't smile. Instead, she looked back at Rhett, who stood beside her, their son in his arms. Then she turned back to the elders. "I don't need your approval," she said, voice steady. "But if you want peace, and then remember this, the strength you tried to erase now protects a new world." The elders nodded and left. They had seen enough. That night, Sala and Rhett sat under the stars. The baby slept between them. Sala rested her head on Rhett's shoulder. "Do you think the galaxy will ever understand what we built?" Rhett chuckled. "Probably not." She smiled. "That's fine. Let them wonder." They looked down at their child, peaceful, glowing softly in the moonlight. A bond, once thought impossible, had created life, not from science, not from law, but from choice and mercy. Once Sala had begged to be spared. Now she stood unchained. Now she was mother to a new legacy, and the galaxy would never forget the day a broken woman and a simple human rewrote the future together.